Hello, everyone. This is Eric, KJ4YZI, with Tim Factor, KT7F from Yaesu. Thank you, Tim, for your time.
You're welcome.
We're here at Gigaparts. I've been grabbing his ear and making some videos on all their stuff. Tim, can you talk to me about this 991? And now I'll tell you why, because this 991A here, I get comments every day about this radio, and I've had it on my desk. I've played with it. It's got all the bands in it. It's a great, nice size. It's not too big, you know. It's not. It's. I mean, you can see the size and comparison, but of course, it's not a direct comparison to anything like a DX101D. But it's a really nice radio with a lot of features. Can you tell me stuff about it for those who are wondering about the 991A by Yaesu?
Yeah, Eric, I'll be glad to. Let me start by telling you how, and our listeners, how this radio came about. It's magical. The stars aligned back about 4 years when this radio first came out. At that time, radio was coming out with the SDR band scopes on them, and we were definitely moving towards, in Yaesu, towards System Fusion and Wires X. All of this was developing at this time. And also at that time, one of the stars I referred to earlier, there was aligning our older line of analog mobile radios, the venerable FT991a, which had been around for almost 15 years as one of the most favorite all-mode, all-band radios, had really come to its technological end. So Yaesu took advantage of the new trends in SDR and in digital radio that was developing at that time, and we produced the FT991A. Was non-A in the beginning, then we
Right.
So this radio is referred to by many as a Radio Shack in a box. It combines VHF, UHF, C4FM, full HF, 100 watt HF line. It has USB VHF and UHF, all mode, all band.
Which is fun because a lot of people don't realize how much fun VHF and UHF sideband or AM is. And,
You're right.
and it's hard, nobody really makes a standalone VHF UHF all mode rig too much anymore. So having that in this is really a good feature.
And we added some of the modern features that were coming in the band scopes I talked about, but it's also, there's touchscreen coming into play now. And
So that was one of the original early adopters of touchscreen.
exactly.
On this. Right, okay.
And that was, very exciting at the time when it was first coming out. We also now came with a more usable linear menu system. Again, this is select and change. And while these are little things, it's the little things that count, right, in life. Notice that you see the blue command for each one of these. That means that's the default. And when you change it, it turns white.
Oh, okay, cool. So you know you're not on default.
There's 190 menus in here.
Yeah, I've seen that. There's a lot of them in
So
there,
if you reset your radio and you want to save your menus,
Right.
you can do it very quickly. So we're adding touchscreen now, the menus we talked about. To configure the radio, again, back in the day what this came from, the configurations were a little clumsy because you had to use what were called ABC keys, keys. And then it was just clumsy. Now you can actually see what the functions are. Now there's a learning curve to what they are.
Right.
Also visually, if it's grayed out, it means it's not active. And if it is active, it'll come up in white.
I'm thinking when you said ABC keys, you talking about like the older one, like the FT100, the little mobile radio was that? And you only had a couple options on the bottom, and every page you'd go through, you had 3 options.
857's that way,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
897
Right.
is that
Okay.
way.
Gotcha. Right.
So we did away with all of that.
Right. More on the screen at one time.
More on the screen at one time. Plus, notice you never lose your meter.
That's good.
Okay. On the older radios, and this, you had to choose. You had to go back into the menu and set up that you wanted to see power,
Right.
or which was clumsy. Here you just change it wherever you want. It's very easy, just a touch. So we added these new improvements. Visually, you can see the screen is very clear, very clean, easy to read. So this was the big breakthrough in the all-mode, all-band radio market,
Right.
and it's been popular ever since.
So with that being said, a lot of people asked about that A.
Yeah.
Now can you tell me about the A? Because I guess when I first started looking at this radio, I didn't even know there was a regular 991. And then they said, well, is it the A version? Can you just sum it up in an official word on just the difference? And that, it's not really necessarily a bad thing, right? It's just an upgraded model.
No, when the radio first came out, the band scope was not active. It was a sweep function.
Okay.
So you would have
So you get
to,
one sweep snapshot.
if you'd sweep it like that, and it would go back and then show you what was coming in, and the audio, you couldn't hear the audio while you were sweeping.
Right.
All right. So we got a lot of complaints about that, and the demand was to change that. So we went to the A, and that's the difference. And I want to make this very clear because there was a 991A, and there still is a 991 upgrade program.
Right.
Okay, but the upgrade program isn't firmware. It's extensive. The radio has to
Actually
be,
a hardware that
yes,
they have to
hardware
open.
has to
Okay.
be sent in, and there's a cost involved.
Right.
But I want to make this clear for the listeners. This is very important. The only difference between the A and the non-A is this band scope, whether it is active on the A and it's not active on the non-A. Everything else is exactly.
So not exactly a deal breaker unless they really wanted something
Unless-
active constantly. I mean, and that's only you're talking about a used radio because
Right.
everything that's new is an A. So
Oh, yeah,
that you're
yeah.
talking about if they're looking for a used one,
Exactly.
that would be the only
Exactly,
difference. But
backwards.
if you buy one from Gigaparts or wherever, it's going to be an A. Obviously, they've already
Yeah, there's
nailed
no
that down.
non-A's. There's
Right.
not a choice. That's a good point. I'm glad you
Right.
brought that up.
Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah. You
No.
don't have the option at the store. Do I want a scope or not? It's
Right.
just. Some people, hey, they shop for used radios out there, and maybe
That's
that
true.
doesn't mean much for them, and that won't be a big deal. So not a deal breaker. So yeah, and this is still in production, and it's still planning on being in production for a while, eh?
Hugely popular.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I don't know how much more I could have made. This video was good that you brought it up this way because it's commented every day. Should I get the 991? What about the 991? And it's popular.
Let me add some things that were really breakthrough, and that is this radio has a USB port, okay, which means and a sound card built in.
Digital
you
modes,
don't- and
yeah.
You don't need an outboard AFSK box anymore.
Right.
We still keep the serial port. That's just a Yaesu trademark, just in case you still want to use a COM port.
And Yaesu also kept the 6-pin DIN
Yep.
for the data.
Yep.
Always
6-pin,
good to be able to
always
hook up
the same,
TNC and
right.
peripherals with a 6-pin DIN, right?
Exactly right.
So they didn't change that.
Tuner linear jack and external speakers. This is Yaesu trademark, all the same. So
Yeah, it's a nice radio, and I know people have said they put this mobile. They've had it in a mobile,
You could
which
do-
some people are big into mobile. I don't know if I would have the room for this in my vehicle, but some
Yeah,
people do.
me either.
I've heard of somebody wanting to put that mobile, but I
Yeah.
don't know how that's going to happen. But
I get that call, by the way.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your time, Tim from Yaesu. Thank you very
You're
much for the
welcome
words,
very
and
much.
my viewers do appreciate it. Everybody leave a comment there and thank Tim for his time and helping me here at the videos to give you material. So 7-3, everybody.
73.